has been nearly 6 years since ISIS killed thousands of Yazidis, kidnapped and sold thousands of Yazidi women and children into sexual slavery, and forcibly displaced the Yazidi community, over 350,000 human beings from their ancestral homelands in Sinjar, Iraq. And yet, the entire Yazidi community still awaits justice and accountability. No doubt, though, the road to justice is long and difficult, but 6 years is unacceptable, particularly in light of the overwhelming weight of evidence that has been gathered. ISIS publicly advertised their heinous crimes against the Yazidis, documenting their intent and actions for the world to see. The remains of Yazidi victims lie in mass graves throughout Iraq. The Yazidi survivors stand ready to provide their evidence in court. Survivors and victims of ISIS deserve justice, not empty promises of hope. ISIS members need to be held accountable in open courts, and victims who remain in captivity need to be brought home and have the opportunity to rebuild their lives. Without these measures and the exhumation of the mass graves, the genocide is ongoing. My friend Barrister Mark Clooney and I worked extensively with UN Security Council members to create the UNITAD team that now exists, to systemically collect evidence of ISIS crimes in Iraq. I know UNITAD is working quickly to collect survivors' statements and secure documentary and digital evidence. Now, we need collective action for the exhumation of mass graves as a priority to help locate and identify victims so families can provide a proper burial for their loved ones. And of course, we want to see this evidence put to use in criminal trials that respect the rights of victims, as well as international standards of international due process. Thinking about my mother, my brothers, and the thousands of Yazidis who have their remains in mass graves without a respectable and dignified burial. It's painful for me as a survivor, but living without receiving justice is another kind of torture. The United Nations and European Parliament have recognized that ISIS crimes against the Yazidis can constitute genocide, and perpetrators should be prosecuted as such. It is not enough for foreign ISIS fighters to be tried as terrorists. They must be tried for war crimes, crimes against humanity, and genocide. This is especially true for those fighters that enslaved Yazidi women in Gaza. In the Netherlands and France, investigations into crimes committed by foreign fighters against the Yazidis are already underway. Most significantly, in Germany, Mark Clooney is representing Yazidi survivors in 3 of the first known court cases in the world where members of ISIS are facing trial for crimes against humanity and genocide. I am grateful to the German, France, and Dutch prosecutors for their leadership in pursuing these cases against ISIS militants. This is an important first step and an example to the rest of Europe and the world. But this step alone is not enough. We cannot forget that ISIS recruited more than 40,000 foreign fighters from 110 countries, many of whom are still detained in Iraq and Syria. But states continue to abdicate responsibility for their nationals. States are not ensuring that these fighters are charged with international crimes that reflect the gravity of their conduct and are standing trial in fair and credible proceeding. ISIS cannot be allowed to benefit from collective inertia to escape accountability. Without justice and accountability, we are accepting that certain groups of people are ultimately without rights, and anything can be done to them. This attitude is profoundly damaging to the prospect of lasting peace and is evident. Not just those who carry out sexual violence and genocide, but those who refuse to persecute until the full scope of ISIS crimes are unearthed and justice is delivered. The Yazidi people will continue to suffer, and the genocide will continue.